click some stuff.
Yeah.
I'm tired. I'm out of it. I know you are because I just called you on the phone because you were asleep. I knew that was gonna happen. It wasn't even a question like Jason is 3 minutes late. I text him, but that's probably not gonna work.
I'm wiped out, man. This show seemed like a good idea around 5 o'clock, but now I'm really tired. And yeah, my brain's not working so good because this week was Blade Show, Tom.
What? I didn't know that.
Yeah, Blade Show's got me worn out.
I am starting to feel like a human being again. But yeah, I understand the feeling.
I can't really see the chat. If I look at the chat, I can't see us. This is my first time on the phone, guys, because my laptop's not working. So I spent the last couple minutes trying to fight the stupid thing, get the and also if I put this so I can. Guys, we're having technical difficulties today. Yeah, thanks, Adam. I should wake up. Well, guys, I don't know. Tom, you want to tell us about your Blade Show journey?
Yeah, I can do that. So, Blade Show was this weekend. It was in Atlanta, and me, Jason, and 8 other wonderful fellas rented an Airbnb together in Georgia. And that's about all I remember. What else happened? I don't know how we got there. Eventually, everyone got to the house, and then everything else after that was a blur. There was a lot of blur, and my legs hurt, and my feet hurt, and I was out of voice. I couldn't talk at the end of it. But I didn't sleep. I actually only slept 6 hours that entire weekend. So I paid for that today. Pretty big.
It's not healthy.
No, but I'm catching up. We went to Blade Show. We got in line around 5 o'clock, 5:15-ish for the early bird line. And as usual, that was a fun time. Hung out with a whole bunch of guys. I didn't meet as many random people as I had in the past. I kind of just stayed put in line. I didn't feel like wandering because I was already off to a tired start. But there's a lot of people at this show. Would you say it was busier than previous years?
I don't know. I'd be interested to see the attendance numbers. I haven't checked. They probably talked about it at some point, but it felt like a very, very busy show. I know Thursday was fun because we decided not to go out to dinner. We decided not to go to the pit. We just stayed in the house and ordered pizza. So that was nice because we got to see everybody and really spend time together. And I know I had some friends come over and see us that we had seen at the usually on Thursdays, guys, we go to the venue and we get our wristbands, and that's where we saw a lot of people we knew. For example, like Peter Dmitrienko. Oh, yeah. You guys probably know Peter. Got to meet him in person, and he could not be a nicer person. Phenomenal dude. Very polite, very sweet. When we told him that we were having pizza, he didn't just show up empty-handed. He brought drinks, so that was very nice of him. And then at some point, we went and got Hope Tucker and brought her back to the house so she could hang out. And we just sat there and we were flicking knives. So that's when Tom decided to do that random live, give you guys a feel like we were there. But really, we were staying up very late, flipping knives, telling stories, and having a good time. So that brings us to Friday morning. So Friday morning is the first Blade Show day. And for those of us with early bird passes, we went and got in line. And we got there by 5 o'clock. We were in line. So the line was pretty typical, right? We're standing around talking with people. There were a couple of dudes that didn't really know that they weren't in line. They ended up in our group. So kind of absorbed them into our group.
Yeah, that's one thing. Like if you're going to go to an event, I'm not saying this is an advice. You might cut, but it's really one of those places where if you cut in line, no one's going to say anything. if you kind of just merged onto a group. I mean, I feel like I had several friends during the event, both days. Just, oh, you're here. Okay, let's talk. Oh, now we're walking, and now we're in the show. Okay, that worked out for you.
Well, the line just sort of forms, right? And
Yeah.
then you start to wonder, like, well, why is the line shaped this way? Maybe people could figure this out. They could move the line to the other way. So we finally kind of turned it a little bit,
Yeah.
and they didn't figure out it had turned. But anyway, doesn't matter. The funny thing is that when 4 o'clock comes and that alarm goes off, I start getting angry, and I don't want to be there. But the second I go outside and I stand in the parking lot and I'm with everybody, that's when the great time starts. And it turns out that hanging out in the parking lot with all your friends is actually a great time, and it reminds you of all the other times in your life when you've done the same thing. So it makes you wonder, like, why did I hate this in the first place? This is fun.
Yeah, I took a picture of not even the first line. So you show up at 5. It's not light yet. It'll be dawn pretty soon, but we show up to the back of the convention center where the line is. I didn't see a line. I'm like, oh man, what the hell? And no, they just formed it a different way. And it was long. It was pretty long by the time we got there, but not too long to get things. I wasn't scared. I wasn't stressed out that there was, I don't know, maybe 200 people or so ish in front of us, which sounds like a lot, but for a show that big, there's a lot of things to see. Around 8 o'clock, they open up the first set of doors that lets you from where you're sitting in the parking lot into the venue. So you get moving, you get excited, and everyone's bustling. You're just bustling to move to line number 2. You're on deck now.
Yeah, I call that hurry up and wait, Tom.
Yeah, it's like, okay, ready? Everyone's all antsy, and everyone's like got their bags on. Like, okay, let's go. To wait for 2 more hours.
Yep, you hurry up, you move the line, and you sit down again.
Yeah.
Thankfully, we had a few people in the team that were heroes that brought chairs. So there's some folding chairs. We took turns using them. Some people that we weren't staying with managed to find us in line and joined us. Like Kenyon Ventus was there. Who else? Vic Wu came up and hung out. And then we had other people that were kind of working their way up and down the line that would hang out and then move back to their original party. So really just a good hang. By the time the line moved and we were inside, I felt like I was already having a great time.
Yeah, it was good. It was once the line started moving. I mean, at 10 o'clock, they open those doors and the line moves fast. They're not scanning tickets when you get into the door Blade Show. You hold your wrist up and you have to have 2 bracelets. You have to have a yellow one and a silver one. The yellow one says that you're an early bird and you can go in, but it's just a mad rush to the door. There wasn't as much sprinting this year as the previous year, but that was maybe because I wasn't sprinting. So
there were a couple dudes in front of me in line that managed to bribe a door guard to get in with no wristbands. I hope they were caught later in the day and thrown out. I don't know. They paid $100 to get in, and I know the guards were checking all week. So shout out to that security guard. They got paid $200 by that guy and his friend. Tom, they were both wearing Jeffrey Dahmer glasses.
Oh, those guys! I know those guys.
Yeah, I was teasing them. I said, "You guys shop at the same optometrist?" So like, what do you mean? I said, "You got those Dahmer glasses." So, yeah. Anyway, the morning started right in early bird from 10 to 11. Early birds have first access. So there's 2 main lines. There's one for the big room, one for the small room. Everybody sort of picked where they wanted to go, and they took off. And I would say by 11 o'clock, the most premier, most choice stuff had been taken, and that's when the cap passes opened. Now, for the rec team, we were only able to get a few vendor passes. Now, Blade Show sort of changed the protocol on badges. So flight frames. No, not quite flight frames. I mean, more like
they're thicker. If you went to jail and they issued you a pair of glasses, these would be those glasses.
More like, I like to take pictures. More like that.
Plastic frames.
At 11 o'clock, all the cap pass people could get in. And for rec, we had a bunch of people with cap passes that worked there. So it was kind of annoying that our booth only had a certain number of people, but I understand because Blade Show needed to be able to regulate passes. There were concerns last year that lots of vendor passes are being used to buy product before the doors open. So they solved that by eliminating a lot of the vendor passes. So I hope that helped. I haven't heard any anecdotes yet, but I didn't see any long lines of vendors buying things before the doors opened.
No.
Are you aware of any, Tom?
I didn't hear any complaints about. I mean, I heard complaints, but no one about vendors getting in early. I didn't hear any about specific people like scamming the system and coming home with 8 things they weren't supposed to get. I don't want to say this because I am not tuned into the whole system, but it seemed like a relatively drama-free show from that standpoint.
That's kind of what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Hey, if you change windows so I'm on the right and you're on the left, would it look like I was looking at you? Or does it? Hey. That's way better. Now it looks like I'm kind of looking at you.
Yeah, that's pretty funny.
Sorry, everybody. I'm on my phone because my laptop's not working right. And because it's that juice, I don't have a charger. So now I'm looking at Tom. Let's see. By noon, the place was jumping, wasn't it?
Yeah. Well, I guess back to the lines open up. I didn't sprint, but I got behind 3 people that were slow walkers. Not okay. If you're an early bird, you don't get to be a slow walker, and you don't get to walk 3 people wide. So I was like, I'm juking through different aisles and going to like through this table. So the easy way, I'm going to Koenig, and I don't want anything at Koenig, but getting in and running for something and getting in line is part of the fun. So I want to get as far up in the Koenig line as possible because it forms fast. And you just look for the big Microtech sign, which is visible from anywhere on the floor, and it's right past that. And
you know what we should have done, Tom? We should have ran off some dark timber coupons. And then anytime the traffic slowed down, you just throw them the other direction, and it'll get everybody out of your way.
Yeah, it's true.
Dark timber was back, fellas. We talked a lot about dark timber last year, and the fan base did not disappoint. They were out strong. They were looking for dark timber deals, and I hope dark timber to oblige them.
I didn't make it far enough up the line while we were waiting to bump into the dark timber folks this year. So I kind of missed out on that fun.
Among the other furious zealots at the front of the line were Demco fans. There were a lot of Demco people up there after those custom Demcos. So saw plenty of them.
I don't know that I've never seen a Strider at the show or know of anything, but it sounds like there's some Strider people up there.
Yeah, there's a lot of Strider people, and it seems like all the Striders were gone by, I don't know, probably by 12:30. So occasionally some of you heroes will message me and ask me to get you a Strider. And if I were to try, I would probably fail because they go really quick. I don't think those guys like to work more than 3 hours at the show. So usually by 1, all the Striders are gone, and so are they. They just pack up and they leave for the whole week. They don't even stick around. The Holt table, guys, the Holt was back. Holt has been missing. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay. Holt has been missing from Blade Show for several years. Now they were back. And they had a ton of knives for sale. And let me tell you, they looked good too, didn't they, Tom?
So I bought a Koenig, and then once you buy a knife, it's kind of like, okay, I'm calm. I'm not going to just do whatever. So I wandered over to River's Edge Cutlery booth, which is right a booth away from Holt. And someone said they got some knives on the table, and it had been a little bit. So I figured that what they possibly have, they had 100 knives on the table, at least by the time I got there, which was not an opening. And I would have bought one, but it was overwhelming how many knives there were that I would have regretted. Whichever one I chose, I would have regretted later, if that makes sense. Option overload that I just walked away thinking, I got to go do some research on the secondary market for if I have to sell. I'm like, that just blew my circuits. There were so many options the whole table. That's Spectre's even.
I had multiple interactions with the Holts, and I was so impressed with them. I'm so excited to see them again in September at the Makers Syndicate. They were phenomenally nice people. I saw Angie Holt, and I went up to her and I told her, thank you for all the Instagram content. You're the reason why I know how to anodize. And everybody at the table laughed, and she was like, what do you mean? I said, you post unbelievably good pictures of anodized knives, and then you always put the voltage next to it. And I'm at home with my little science project, and I've got a little piece of titanium, and you said 72 volts, so I tried to make it 72, and then I get it done, and it looks awful. It looks like watercolor paint. So I have to do it again, do it again, do it again. But now I have a bunch of your pictures saved in my phone, and I know how to anodize because I just followed your example. And I showed her some pictures of the stuff I had done, and she was very nice. She said, "Oh, these are great." And then Joe Holt, what a gem! The guy was phenomenally nice. I thank them both for the fact that Denny Miucci, Tom, you might know Denny. Mm-hmm. He bought a Holt on the secondary. He got it home. When he went to take it apart, it had red thread lock and 2 screw heads broke off. So here you are in Tuscany, Italy, and you have a Holt, and your screws are broken in the standoffs. That's a bad day. So he contacted them, and they sent me screws and standoffs within hours. So very nice of them to be able to take care of somebody so far away.
I'm trying to think of what I did. Saw that, went back to your booth, saw you and Zach and Brian and Riley and Mike. And who does your guys' social media? Is it Joel? Noah. And some other fella? Was there one other guy there?
Let's see. We also had
Todd.
We had Evan.
Yes, other Evan and Todd. I saw Todd lots.
Evan will love this. I'm gonna go ahead and say it. We call Evan Doppler around the shop because we had 2 Evans, and Doppler's great because Doppler sort of repeats, but also his last name is Weatherby, so Doppler Weather, right? So he was there. He was actually just coming for fun. He wasn't supposed to even be working, but he ended up working the whole show. He was busy and a huge help. We also had Chad Weed was there. Chad works in the custom shop and in Rec Band.
Oh,
and
Carl was there.
Carl was there. Yeah, we had a big crew. A lot of guys came.
Yeah, it was fun. Then I just started talking to people and wandering around and all sorts of shenanigans. I don't know. I went to Vero's booth. I remember that.
Vero's booth was busy the whole show.
Yes.
It was crazy to watch. They were so very busy. It was wild.
Yes. Because he was selling stuff this year. So last year he just had examples. This year he had stuff for sale.
He had so much good stuff too. He had kitchen knives. Tom, he had a bacon Damascus axe on for $580, and I was watching it on the table, just like crying, going, "Why is it still here?" Bacon, bacon. I think one thing that was interesting was like the group that we stayed with kind of hung together, but it would fracture and break apart as people would go and look for things, and then they'd get back together, and then they'd break apart and get back together. For me,
one thing you learn is you're never really, no one's like trying to ditch you, probably. No one's trying to ditch you, but people all have different tastes. Like we all might have similar things we want to look at, but when you're in a situation of like, this is a cool conversation and all, but I got something I have to buy 5 minutes ago, so I'm going to just wander over here and I'll find you later. That's just kind of what happens. That's fine.
Right. Yeah. The first day was super, super long. I ended up sticking around till 6. In the past, what we've done is we've left early and went and took a nap. So I think some people did, but I stuck it out and stayed till 6 because I wasn't sure what the rhythm would be now that I'm working with Rex. So worked in the booth. I had some amazing interactions with people from the club, Tom. I would see people in shirts. Yeah, I saw Chris. Chris was there.
Yeah.
People kept coming up to the booth. I had one guy, Tom, come up to the booth. He's looking at knives. I spent probably 45 seconds with him. And then all of a sudden he looks at me and he squints and he goes, "Are you on FFIB?" I said, "Yes, I am." And he goes, "I thought I recognized your voice." I said, "What about the face that takes up like half the screen?" You recognize the face? He didn't say anything. It made me laugh that he recognized.
Well, it's nice to be that
not
you're known for the show. The show is more popular than you are. That's a good thing, I think, right? The show precedes your reputation.
I suppose so.
Yes.
So he, yeah, I don't know. I had a bunch of people come to the rec booth. I'd run into him in the aisles, and then there were so many shirts, dude. Did you notice how many shirts?
Yes, because as I was making the best of being totally ditched by everybody, all I had to do was like, okay, kind of my fault that I'm by myself. I don't want to leave. Oh, that guy's got a Millie shirt, and that guy's got a. They're all, yeah, they're everywhere. There's Millie shirts everywhere. If you went over by the Spyderco booth, there was a ton of them. So I just walked around, like grabbed a couple people, like Ryan, he was one of the random Millie shirt guys that I
Yeah, he
grabbed.
was.
And, yeah, I grabbed him and grabbed, what's his first? Jay Yeager. And I was like, I'm just going to take people around and I'm going to go talk to people I know, but these guys might not have ever had the opportunity to meet. So I
Right.
really enjoyed that, getting to go walk around, meet people, and then make them meet other people and get the whole Blade Show experience and the whole networking aspect of the show, what you can make of it going on. And that was a great time. I really liked that a lot. And yes, the shirt is a game changer because that's how I identify you. 100%.
Worked out
Because
pretty
you know
good.
what people are really, really bad at? No offense. Brian is almost as good looking as that sunset, but I don't know what he looks like. So people tend to know me and Jason's face, but when they come up to us, we often are not being rude. We might recognize your name, but without the Millie shirt, I don't know the face to go to the person. So the Millie shirts were hugely helpful, and they were everywhere. It was great. I don't know.
You know what we should do next year? We should have everybody have a shirt printed with your Facebook avatar on the shirt. We'll be like, "Hey, you're that guy, the guy." And we'll go,
And
"Yeah."
this sounds like a weird conversation about judging someone by their Facebook avatar. But when we were sitting back at the Airbnb, we were having conversations, arguing over people's Facebook avatar, and like, no, his one that he used to have, like 2 years ago. Remember, it used to be this one.
Somebody thought Micah Sontag was
Yes.
African American because he had dark skin in his avatar. Well, Mike is not African American. I think Mike is probably German. And when person A met Micah, he was like, "Oh, you don't look at all like I thought you'd look," and it was all because of avatars. It's really funny. Let's see what else, Tom. There's so much that happened, and the lack of sleep is affecting my brain.
That fella ran into him for most of the show, Walter.
Walter Calicote is a good example. So Walter was first time at the show, never been before. All we know is that he's got Jack Torrance as his avatar, and so we finally meet him in person. And it's funny, a rumor got started that he wasn't having a good time, which ended up not being true at all.
Oh, really?
But all of us sought him out. We're like, everybody go find Walter and make sure he has fun, mandatory fun.
That's funny.
So I think I can safely say that Walter had a lot of fun. That night we all ended up back at the hey Greg, what's happening?
Greg was there too.
Greg was there. That night we ended up having dinner. After dinner we went back to the hotel. The tradition is that you break for dinner and then you come back to the hotel and we all hang out until wee hours of the morning. And that's exactly what we did. It wasn't it, Tom?
It is. It was. What did we do for dinner that first night?
Barbecue restaurant.
Oh, it was very memorable. My fries. I was let down by my order, but it's okay. It's okay.
Yeah,
I'm not going to judge the entire South by that barbecue.
You ordered the wrong menu item, and also that was a fast food chain. It wasn't really true good barbecue. I've noticed that about Atlanta. The food scene is interesting. I haven't isolated exactly where the great food is. There's some okay food, but I didn't want to go to the Battery again. We tried something different, and it was kind of a failure. Yeah, but back at the hotel, there was some embarrassing behavior, but there was some fun behavior. We had a good time. My favorite part of that evening, though, Tom, was that Mike Kent was there, Hope Tucker was there, Travis Vanway was there, and Jeff Lofter was there, and I got a picture of all four of them together. So 4 knife store owners kicking it, hanging out at Blade together. And so it was neat because like over there we had 4 knife store owners, And then over here, we had a bunch of fans. And then over there were some makers. And everybody was just sort of hanging out. It was like a little microcosm of the group, wasn't it?
Yeah. The pit is fun, but it's easy to let the night get away from you. So while that's going on, I talked to Scott Gunn. I sharpen now, and I'm talking to Scott Gunn, who I run his Instagram account, and I want to suck all the knowledge out of him I can and talk about how we're going to promote stuff. And then everyone's like, we have to leave, because that took like my entire night. That was how
you guys were really deep. You were going right down the cutting edge.
Yes.
So we flicked some knives. We had some fun. There were some chants and some cheers. I believe everybody was toasting the state of Kentucky because they were drinking bourbon and Mountain Dew. Not Tom, of course, but there was some bourbon and Mountain Dew that was being imbued, and everybody kept saying,
well, let's just hold this up. I'm not averse to drinking talk. I must have missed out on the hot Mountain Dew bourbon. This is like the new thing the kids are drinking these days.
All right. So what happened was they ran out of Coke, and they were cutting the bourbon with Coke, right? And then Casey Hedges made a joke about how, well, just get some Mountain Dew then, because that's exactly what Mountain Dew was invented for. And Jeff Loffer said, no, it isn't. It's a rumor. So Casey actually was like, bam, science, and showed it on his phone. And then they got some Mountain Dew, and they started drinking it. And every time they would take a drink, they'd scream, Kentucky! It was very funny. And then Casey kept trying to get me to try it. And, of course, I went to college. You think I haven't mixed inappropriate things together and drank it? I regret
whatever makes it go down. Whatever makes the bad juice go down.
I'm not saying it was a good idea. I'm saying that it happened, right? So I was laughing at Casey thinking, you're not going to teach me anything I haven't. You're not teaching me a bad decision I haven't made previously, right? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Well, by the end of the evening, it was like 1 a.m. We had all been up since 4 a.m. And then we didn't get a lot of sleep before that. So we go back to the house and we finally go to bed. Holy cow. I dropped my phone. We finally go to bed. And then, the next morning we decided to get up early again so we could wait in line again because we're savages.
But like reasonable time. We were like all sitting around looking at each other. Like, waiting for someone to like call it a night. Like, who's going to be the first to go to bed? Who's going to
ruin this fun?
Who's going to ruin it? And we're like, so I'm going to set my alarm on my phone at 7 o'clock in the morning. Yeah, how's everyone?
Good.
That sound good?
That sounds good. Yep. Except Josh
Everyone was on board.
Josh Haygood was just snoring and snoring. I banged on his door. He didn't wake up. That's all right. He needed to sleep. That mustache is hard to carry.
Yep. On the one wheel too. We got to balance it.
Right.
Josh One Wheel Haygood was in the house, of course, with the one wheel. I got to try it. I got not yelled at, but I got told to get off of it in Blade Show. So I got to ride it for like a little bit, and then my fun was over. I was really looking forward to getting some lessons from Josh on that thing.
I have a funny story at the end of this that I'll tell that you don't know about. Remind me to tell the Haygood story when we get to Sunday.
Okay.
So Saturday was harder because we were more tired, and Saturday was even busier because Saturday means the locals. That's right, Blake. Saturday since it's Saturday, people who work for a living can actually come to the show, so it's even busier, even more packed.
There's no early bird line too, so it opens at 9 o'clock.
Right.
It's open. It's game on at 9 o'clock.
Exactly. The little room still had cool, innovative guys in it. The Bally boys were strong. Lots of Bally kids just flipping and flicking their knives, not paying attention to anyone. A rumor went around that somebody cut their stomach open, flipping a ballad song. I believe it was Josh Haygood who saw the poor victim in the bathroom with blood everywhere. That sort of became the cautionary tale of the show. Like, maybe when you're flipping knives, don't do it in front of your stomach.
So if anyone's looking for an investment in the knife community, they want to invest in a company, invest in Squid Industries. Apparently they had the biggest booth at the entire show was Squid Industries, which is a company that makes Balisong trainers, and they were everywhere. They had a whole back corner. Was it the big room's back corner? there were 6 booths in a row that was Squid Industries, and it was a Balisong party back there. It was just kids.
It was the south end of the small room.
Okay.
Yeah, they had the whole thing.
Oh,
the funny thing about the Balisong kids is you can stand there and film them. You can talk about them.
They love it.
You can eat popcorn and watch them as they go, and they don't care. They don't even see you. It's like an alternate dimension.
The thing that's weird about being around Balisong kids is you get kind of like detuned to hearing a knife fall on the ground. Because normally when you hear a knife fall on the ground, it's like, oh shit, someone just ruined their day. No, knives fall on the ground all the time. You get used to that sound around Balisong kids.
Yep, you could hear it. It sounded like digital crickets. And according to Josh Haygood, who slept outside, Josh left the Airbnb and decided to go get in line at midnight. So we got there at 5. He got there at midnight, and he tried to sleep on the sidewalk, but he didn't get any sleep because it was just all night long. Let's see. Saturday finished up. We went over to the Battery for dinner. Parking was an adventure. The garages were packed. The place was jumping. It was Saturday night and everybody was out. I noticed that people in Atlanta are better looking than people in Indiana. I'm gonna go ahead and say it right now. As we were walking around, like people, I don't know, maybe they just took care of themselves better. I don't know exactly what it was. Maybe it was the lack of the Indiana Hoosiers t-shirts. That might be it. But yeah, lots of good looking people running around, having fun. We went to the restaurant. You remember the hype lady outside the restaurant, Tom?
Oh, no, I didn't notice that very subtle lady outside the restaurant.
She was screaming and hollering as we're going in. I high-fived her, Tom.
I didn't want to walk past her because I know she was going to say hi to me. And I'm like, she's going to expect like a really enthusiastic response. And I'm fucking tired.
How many times did she pinch your butt?
That got me excited a little bit.
Right, that made up for it. I high-fived her on the way in. And then, we had a good dinner. I had some chicken and waffles, and it was out of this world. Casey was screaming from the other end. He's like, "Hey, Jason, that was good, wasn't it?"
I had the absolute audacity to order the Frito pie off the menu.
How was it?
Oh, you were at the other end. You didn't get to have that. I ordered the Frito pie, and the guy laughed at me from your end of the table loudly and go, "You can't order that. It's not a game day." I'm like, there's a picture of it on my table. I wanted the thing that was on the picture. It says nowhere about a game day, nowhere about anything. And I was like, I was excited for Frito pie, and he thought that was a joke that I would even think about ordering a Frito pie.
What does that have to do with the game day? What game?
I don't know, but
That's
Casey
hilarious.
was like, "Dude, what did you do to piss this guy off?" He was not having it.
That's life in the ATL, man. You got to watch where you're going. So, guys, if you haven't caught the trend yet, we've barely talked about knives, right? Except the Bally Boys. The best part of Blade Show is hanging out with Blade people. It really is. Getting to meet people, getting to hang out with them, making new friends, having that common bond, and then spending time. I remember at the end of the first day, I was alone with Blake, and Blake was like, "Oh, what?" Blake looked like this. He looked like, and I said, "Hey, Blake, what's been your favorite part so far?" And he sat there for a second. He blinked a few times, didn't say anything, and he goes, "The people." And it's funny. You can ask everybody, and they all tell you that it's the hang, it's the people, it's the camaraderie. It's the best part.
Do you have any knives of mine or yours with you from the show?
No, they're all at work.
Okay.
They all made it inside, and I was gonna pack your stuff up and send it to you, but I didn't get there.
That's all right. The one thing that was like my favorite knife-related part of the show is for the first time at Blade Show, out of the 4 years I've been there, my goal is always to find a maker I have never heard of, which, okay, there's a lot of them that I liked so much that on the spot I had to buy their knives and I want them to be successful. So I'm buying a Koenig. Blake comes over to me and we meet. I'm like, "Where to?" And he shows me what he has. And he pulled out what I thought was a Chris Reeves, but it was Arno Bernard. Arno Bernard. There's an AB on it. It looks similar to a CRK, but has a flipper and a polished blade and a little kind of hump on the spine. Oh, it was a CRK that I can open. So I walked, I grabbed Blake's hand, say, take me here. I have to see this. This is going to sell out right now. Go take me to this. I walked over there and I bought one within 30 seconds. Most of the time I was deciding between the wooden or the bone in the kudu, which I kind of regret, bone inlay, or the fat carbon one. I ended up with the fat carbon raindrop one. And
they had a warthog tusk version, and I saw one today, and the warthog tusk was unbelievably cool.
Oh, well, Sean Reese has that one on the way.
Well, I believe I saw Greg Bartram today, and I think he said that he had his first, and then he showed it to some of the Millie guys, and then everybody like stampeded. I think like 15 people that I know of bought one.
So the chain I'm aware of that happened was Dan Hawkins showed Blake, Blake showed me, I showed Sean, Sean showed Vic Wu, and Vic Wu showed somebody else, and we all bought one.
By the way, I bought a plain Jane on the drive home.
Oh, and then Jason saw all of ours and bought one.
Right. I wanted to get one, but I had already spent too much money.
Yeah.
And then when I got in the car, I was still angry about it that I didn't get one. And then somebody did a screenshot of the plain Jane for sale in the group.
Oh yeah.
So you wanted a plain Jane. Do you want to swap?
No.
All right.
I mean, I wanted a plain Jane for like simplicity reasons to like smoke show it, but I mean, I could have bought a plain Jane, but I spent more on the non-plain Jane for a reason.
So something else, Tom, you can think about. After it's smoke showed, you can send it to Scott Lacey, and he can make you inlays of anything you want.
I was thinking about doing that.
That's why I wanted to trade you.
I was thinking about that because I like fat carbon raindrop stuff, but I mean, it's been done. It's nothing new. So I was like kind of regretting not getting the bone because like I don't know what this animal is, but it's a bone from it, and it's really colorful and cool. So I
know how you like bone.
I'm happy with what I got.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
So let's see. Saturday night, we have dinner. We go back to the pit. And it's a lot of driving around. It's a lot of back and forth, back and forth. We're staying 9 minutes from the hotel, which is 4 minutes from the restaurant. So there's a lot of driving back and forth. We get back to the pit, and it's even busier than the night before. We grabbed a couple tables, slammed them together, and we were all sitting around, mostly talking, not necessarily playing with knives. This night, young Rich Cox joins us. He and I had a wonderful conversation. It was really good to connect with him. Like I hadn't spent any time with him in a while, so I'm really glad I got to talk to him. Yeah, I don't know, just a really good time that day, Tom. Something magical happened. Do you remember the Jedi? Do you remember the Rebel Alliance fighters that were walking around?
The Smoky Mountain Rebel Alliance?
Smoky Mountain. Yeah. They happened to run into a scorpion. And they did battle.
Whoa.
But hold on. It got worse. Godzilla showed up.
Holy shit. There was drama at the show.
It was actually caught on camera and will be released soon.
Wow. Okay.
Yes. It's very dramatic. So you guys will be able to see a 3-way mascot battle between a scorpion, some Rebel Alliance fighters, and Godzilla. And I don't even know how it ended. But I'm on the edge of my seat. Sunday morning, a lot of you bailed out before I was even awake. You guys were out of the house. As everybody peeled out, we made sure to clean up. Make sure the house was all sorted. When we were all outside in the driveway, Mike Bruno was there, and he was like waiting for it to end. But we went from saying goodbye on the couch to saying goodbye in the kitchen to saying goodbye on the front porch. And I looked over at him. I said, Mike, you're experiencing a Midwestern goodbye, just like the memes. And he got excited. He goes, is that what this is? I'm feeling it. And I said, it's not over until somebody slaps their knee and says, whelp. And on cue,
yeah, there you go.
On cue, Casey did it, and it was all over. As Josh was loading his stuff into Micah Sontag's car, Micah goes, I bought this yesterday. And he reaches in. Guess what he pulled out, Tom?
What?
He's like, I bought some steel. He pulls out his sword blank and hands it to Haygood. I thought Haygood was going to pee himself. He was so excited.
That's awesome.
And I said, Josh, think about all the bottled waters you can cut on your one wheel. And he's like, I can't wait to try it.
That's awesome.
It was really funny.
One nice thing for me, obviously, is that, well, it was a sober. There's no alcohol at the house. No one's bringing back cases of beer. It's not a party. You're tired enough that drinking much kind of will hit you. Both nights, I'm not saying anyone got like drunk, but both nights there was a person or two who had a good time who came back to the house. That'd be like this while we're talking, in a chair, passed out. When we were leaving, someone in the morning was feeling it when we had to take off to the airport the next day. But other than that, you guys seem like you're having a pretty good time on Saturday night, passing around the booze. But other than that, I don't know. It was nice for me. It was fun being in that atmosphere where there's drinking, but it doesn't feel like it's a necessity to have fun, but it's acceptable.
I didn't have any. I didn't feel like I wanted it. I definitely thought that if I had any, then I would have an even harder time being awake the next day, and I wanted to be able to enjoy every minute of it. Also, I don't know, like in the house, the worst it got was like somebody would dive into the refrigerator and get more frozen cold pizza. You know, that was the thing that kept us going.
Oh, there was one scandal. The scandal of the missing caffeine, because there was like 5 energy drinks.
Yeah, there was a person in the group that was drinking the energy drinks and then lying about it. So
Casey was really.
Someone in the house.
I got put in a bad spot because me and Casey had the same energy drinks, and I was drinking one. And he's like, "Where'd you get that?" I'm like, "Hey, hold up! You told me to get this one."
Yeah.
How many of you had?
Maybe someday we'll get to the bottom of who stole the energy drinks.
Yeah, that was funny.
You know what? Overall, I think it was a good show. I feel like there was a lot of fun stuff going on. It was very busy. It was nice to catch up with people. The first time we went, nobody gave a crap about the club. And then the second time we met people in line that had heard of it. And then now here we are, year 4. And there's T-shirts everywhere. I think next year it's going to be a crush of people. And it's really fun to be able to share it with everybody. It might be the best part.
Yeah.
In a
people.
And in a thing that we do that's already amazing, every bit of it's fun. Like being able to share it with new people is the best part.
Not the saying that like I am too good for this. I've met Bill Koenig enough times that he's just a freaking dude. He's really good at making knives, but that crush isn't there like it was the first time I met him. But you know what? It is for everyone else that's too afraid to even go walk up to him.
Is it for Arno Bernard now?
Yeah. Which isn't one person I figured out. I'm trying to figure out it's 4 brothers. But yes. But no, it's fun because their makers are so approachable and nice, but there is for first time you go to a knife show, there is some intimidation factor. Like you don't want to take these guys' time up. They don't care about you or whatever you might think in your head. So pushing people up to the table and say, hey, we're going to go meet somebody is really fun. And it's really fun to be a part of their experience, getting to know or a highlight of their show that you helped create happen.
Some of the well, I'll just say it. There was a point in the evening where Jeff Loffer had learned who Walter Calico was and had seen some photos of his work and was really, really impressed with how good he is at polishing blades. And he was walking with Walter, and it just so happened that Bob Terzula walked by, and Jeff knows Bob Terzula quite well. And so he introduced him to Walter, and Walter, yeah, there it is. So they actually got a picture together, and Walter was just starstruck being able to meet, a legend in the game. And he had actually been inducted into the Knife Hall of Fame that day.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, it was a big deal for Bob Terzula as well to be able to be among all the whippersnappers and be recognized for his years of innovation.
Well, we've talked a lot about things that have happened and people we saw. But there was knives that occurred during the show. Did you buy knives? Do you talk about any knives you bought? I know you were working. Jason actually called me last night to kind of apologize. We didn't see each other really much the entire weekend because Jason was working and we were off doing our things, and we crossed paths, but we didn't like hang out very much.
I regret that.
It's okay. We talk enough. It's okay. We would have ran.
We do talk from time to time.
Yeah, that's okay.
Very true. I need you to sit closer to the camera, by the way, because my head looks too big. There we go. That's better. I'm holding it's in a weird angle, and my arm's getting tired.
Okay.
Yeah, I got some knives, and to me, I'm glad for them, but it's almost not why I went.
Oh yeah, totally not. But
I'll tell you what. Now that I found Arnaud Bernard, made me go, man, I need to do a better job of researching who's there, because there are obviously just kick-ass makers that just because I haven't heard of it doesn't mean they're not out there. You want to talk about that for a minute?
Yeah. So I bought 3 knives at the show. I bought 2 Koenigs. Okay, whatever. I bought the Arnaud Bernard, which got me all excited. But honestly, this is the only thing I got to take home with me was these Lynch pair of 3 skinnies in this clip. Rec had these for sale at the show, and this is something I'm very glad I picked up. These are awesome scales.
We were able to get those from Casey the day before. No, at the show.
Oh, really?
The Lynch people flew in with them and gave them to the booth the day of the show. And shout out to them. Thank you very much. That was phenomenal. They did quite well. People were excited about them. A lot of people thought that they were for lightweights. They're not. They're for G10 models. And that is the first time that Casey Lynch has ever done pair of 3 scales, and the first time he's ever done the first time he's ever done pair of 3 skinny scales.
Yeah.
So
they're titanium too. That is a note we have to make now, because there's.
Thank you. They're titanium.
Titanium scales, but they're still. This with the clip was like 145, I think, somewhere around there, which is a hell of a good deal.
We do have more sets left, and they're going to be available soon. We have a new point of sale system that we tried out at the show, and it was a wild success. Those are going to be available as soon as we're able to reconcile the new inventory and put them on the website. So that should be happening, I would think, this week. Oh, nice, Chris. It's very cool. We also have a matching pry bar, Tom.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. So we have Lynch pry. We got the scales.
Was Rec selling anything else at the show, possibly?
Oh yeah. We had Scorpions on hand.
Ooh, yeah.
So the 10V pair of 3 DLC is dropping on Wednesday at noon Eastern time.
Yeah.
So I can tell you guys right now that there are about 700 to sell. So I don't know the exact number that are left. I didn't do the math when we boxed them up, but God bless Leah and Amy, because while we were gone, they were back at the shop boxing those things up.
Oh,
and when I got to the office on Monday morning, they were already done. So huge shout out to those two for doing that. That means shipping's gonna be faster. That's what that means. So the knives are already boxed. We saved a small number of them for people who want centering and and blade play checking.
Particular people.
By the way, those will be the last to go out, but they will be checked per request.
When you buy this knife, because I've got this question quite a bit, why is there a scorpion on this pair of 3? What's up with the scorpion? Why is it a scorpion? Who calls this a scorpion?
I used the scorpion to kind of hype it before we announced what the knife was by lasering it on my PM2s. Tom and I had named that knife the Scorpion back in 2020 because we felt like it needed a cool nickname to help people know what it was, make it recognizable. The way that the avocado was pretty recognizable. So I lasered it on my knife, and I thought it looked so cool. I took some pictures of it, And now it turns out everybody would like it on their knife. When you check out, guys, you'll be able to click a little box that says add Scorpion. It's going to be $15 upcharge. And for that, we'll pull the knife, we'll put it out in the queue, and Chad Weed will laser it on there for you. He is the master with the laser. He'll stick it on the blade for you. We'll box it up and then send it out.
We almost forgot about the celebrity we saw at the show.
We did have a celebrity in our midst. Rui came from Denmark all the way to Indianapolis, Indiana, where he met up with his right honorable friend, Greg Bartram. They drove all the way to Atlanta to go to Blade Show and took the town by storm. And then they drove back to Columbus, Ohio. And this morning they met us at the store. And I gave them the full tour of the building. They saw everything. They got to hang out. We played with knives. We talked about knives. I had my knives with me from Blade. They were still with me. So Rui and I went through my collection. And he found several that he wanted very badly, Tom.
Oh, really? I wouldn't have guessed. Ooh,
yeah, I had to tell him that they were spoken for.
Well, so, I think, kind of had his eyes opened up to how vast there is. He was talking about like he can't get into other brands, but there's like a lot of other brands he wants to look into now.
At the beginning of the weekend, it was Spyderco. It's my only love. Yeah. And by the end, he was like, my heart is full, but I can make more room for other knives. So he, I think he's understands that there's so many other beautiful knives out there, and he's probably going to be getting more. But it was kind of fun to experience the show through his eyes too. Yeah. And I was very happy to be able to give him a tour. He was so excited to put on a Wreck t-shirt, Tom, that he just did it right there. He just threw it on in the store. Just put it on. He's like, I'm ready.
There you go. I like that. No bashfulness. That's what my wife hates about when I like try clothes on at the store. I'm like, I'll just do it. I'll just try clothes on. Just cover. No one wants to see this bullshit. Cover up. Let's put it on. It's fine. Got some confidence. It's all right.
It was awesome. He just wore it out.
There you go.
Yeah. I'm trying to think if we missed anything.
I didn't actually talk to Eric Lesser the entire show. I saw him for a moment standing in line for coffee. I didn't even talk to him.
I saw him in the hallway on Friday morning before the Friday morning?
Yes, that's where I saw him. Yeah, Friday morning before the show.
Friday morning before the show, I saw him in the hallway. He was carrying an armful of drinks, and I just so happened to have the Millie 2 in my pocket. So I pulled it out and showed him that I was carrying it. And he was very happy to see that I had received it. I told him thank you very much, and it was a pretty cool interaction. I was glad that I'd put it in my pocket. It's so hard to know what knife to carry.
Yeah, that's what was funny. You were going through your case, like, well, shit, I gotta talk to Joseph Vero. Gotta talk to Brian Brown. Gotta talk to what do I put in my pocket? Yeah, I was like, my solution is I'm not bringing any knives. I'm going naked.
I have all these knives and my friends. I want to make sure I got the right one on me at the right moment. Ooh, Tom, I got to talk to the Terravantium guy. Those Train 365 knives. Yeah, I talked to the guy who came up with that stuff. It turns out that those blades are pretty much just made of cobalt. They really aren't steel. And he told me how to sharpen it. He told me about the composition of the metal and how strong it is. And it was really crazy, like learning about how that really isn't a traditional knife. And it turns out the only thing you need to do to sharpen it, Tom, is about 2 passes on a 1200 grit stone, about 2 passes per side.
Interesting. There's
no pulling a burr. There's no, polishing it. It's pretty crazy.
Interesting.
Yep.
Oh, there's one booth because, I'm glad I did this because I didn't do it very often. Booth I spent actual time in learning about all the products that I didn't know about was the Gritomatic booth. I spent like a half hour in the Gritomatic booth talking to that dude. And they had the new Halfstone RS sharpener, the one that was a Kickstarter for $135. Everyone in the entire group is going to buy that sharpener. He said he could have sold 40 of them at the show if he had them in stock. He says it was his favorite product they had. He has every Gendi, Kazakh, TS Prof, KME, every system there. And he goes, it was like his thing he was most proud of was that little Hapstone RS sharpener that was $189, and it is rad. I don't even know how to
Wow.
describe what it does, but like the arm is. I've heard people like me in this group of professional sharpeners who have a message like we couldn't figure out how it worked, and then you play with it, and it's pretty ingenious how the arm works. It does go up and down, but it doesn't look like it does in the pictures. It's just a really cool sharpener. Great grip. It's nice and compact. It's sturdy. I'm going to get one for sure. I definitely spent some time looking at that. If it was for sale, I probably would have went home for one. And then the Gritomatic guy. You know that Gritomatic chart that's the Gritomatic chart. The grit chart.
Do I?
Is it in here? I had it explained to me. And he had to put notes on it. I'm like, maybe those notes should be on this sheet. It's like, oh, so when it says grit and it's made by a U.S. manufacturer, it's this category. It's like, but it's a Japanese Waterstone. It's this category. So the 3,000 grit here is the 30,000 grit here. It's the same level, but one of them's this standard. This one's the GIST standard. And this one's the other standard. This one's in microns if it comes from this country. I'm like, still confusing, but now I see there's more rating techniques. It just needs a better definition of telling you what is rating it on, I guess. For me, I'll just pay attention to it more. But now I understand why I'm like, dude, my 400 grit edges look like this, but that one looks like it got dragged on asphalt. What's up with that? Yeah.
I knew all that stuff.
Obviously.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Jason was showing off his smoke show fancy finish all over the place. Did you talk about that last week at the show? I forget.
Before we left, I think I don't know when I talked about it. Guys, my brain doesn't work. I don't know. But we brought a lot of it. Before we left the building, Carl Alley did a Vero pry bar. He did a fulcrum, and we did a pen. I think we brought 4 or 5 different knives so that we could show it. But honestly, it was Todd Roberts' knives that got the most looks. Like his PM2 is balling.
Oh, it's like a piece of glass.
It's so good. It's so good. And that clip, the Lynch clip, looks like $1 million.
Yeah.
So
one thing I'd say is like I've always been forever a very large proponent of MXG clips, primarily because of how the finish feels, like the rounded edges. I kind of like Lynch clips more now because now they're kind of like that when they're finished. Like this one has more rounded edges than the ones I've had in the past, but Todd's feels really, really good. It breaks those corners down.
Yeah, the edges were all broken and it was polished with a high shine. It was gorgeous.
Yeah. It was awesome.
So reach out to the Rec Custom Shop if you guys want to hear more about smoke show finish or if you want to see pictures of Todd's knife. It's almost hard to photograph. I've tried. Yeah. But we got back to the store. Got back to the store with all the stuff and just dropped it in the back and locked up and left on Sunday. I think by the end of the day today, everything was finally unpacked and put away. It was quite a task. I know Zach and Doug brought back a bunch of cool stuff for us to sell that needs to be photographed and uploaded to the website. So there were some cool acquisitions that we picked up, and they'll be available soon.
Lots of good stuff. There's some more things I know I'm forgetting about. Oh, I didn't really enter any lottos. That I didn't even think about having time. I didn't enter very many lottos, so I didn't win any. I entered the Richard Rogers one, and that was about it.
Yeah.
But it was neat seeing people I know win stuff that they entered lottos for. That was cool. And then there were like Sean Reese won that Keenison.
Yeah, that was a wild story too.
So I think everyone we were with was satisfied with their haul, with what they ended up with taking home. I think everyone that was there had the same sentiments that their best part was just hanging out. I'm very happy. And I requested this in person a ton of times. The amount of posting that was going on from the show was superb because in years past, people were like, I'm just so busy. I'm like, no, make the time, post it. You got a knife, take a picture, post it. Because I want this hype train building. And I want next year to be twice as many Millie Club members there because they saw how much fun we had this year and make this thing even more viral. So I love seeing how much stuff. You know who else loves seeing all the Blade Show posts?
My
mom.
Yeah, my mom too. My mom keeps watching all the rec content that keeps getting posted over on YouTube.
That's funny. Yeah, my mom has been commenting on people's pictures and thinking it's so cool. We on vacation. Oh, also, my mom posted a very touching thing when I was there because it was my 39th birthday on Friday at the show, which was a good time. And she posted some cute little pictures of me as a youngin'. And that was the only way I remembered it was my birthday, except for, I kind of put that thought in my head until people would like remind me, and then it'd quickly disappear again. Like,
I can't
birthday
tell.
can get celebrated later.
I can't tell if I want people to make a fuss over my birthday or whether I don't. I feel like I'm supposed to want it, but I really don't. But then when no one does, I kind of feel let down. And I've been up in my head about your birthday because it's always every Blade show, and I feel like we never really address it. Like nobody brings a cake. There's no cake. There's no doily. We didn't decorate the Airbnb. So may as well ask you now. Like, what do you want to do for your birthday next year?
Go to Blade Show.
Okay,
that's all I want to do. We had my birthday dinner tonight. We had bamboo sushi and burger and karagi, and so it's a good sushi place nearby. That's good enough. It's my celebration is having dinner with my wife and kids. That's all I need. The present is a guilt-free weekend because, like, granted, you should also do this 1 year in advance of Blade Show. You tell your significant other that you're not going to be home because you're going to be in Atlanta for a 3 or 4 day weekend. So that's my present every year for my wife is that I'm allowed to do that without having any thoughts of me feeling like a dick for leaving her at home with 2 kids. It's my present is I get to go to Blade Show. So what I suggest you do, it may not be your birthday, but after the show, say, Tom said, I have to tell you I'm going to Blade Show next year so you can put it on the calendar. So I'm just, in a year from now, I might not be here. Just do it. Ask now. Ask now.
Kids, listen to Uncle Jason. Here's what you need to say. Honey, I know you always say that I don't plan ahead and that I'm just spontaneous and I never write anything down. Well, I brought you the calendar and a pen, and I know that you don't like my handwriting. You want your handwriting on the pen, on the calendar so that it all looks better. I believe you, honey. Go ahead. Take the pen, please, and I want you to flip forward to the first weekend in June in 2024. I want you to write, I'm going to be out of town at a knife show in Atlanta, Georgia. Just go ahead and write it down. It's always the first weekend in June, everybody. Don't ask me what date it is. I don't have a calendar in front of me. Just listen to the words coming out of my face hole. It's the first weekend in June. So go do your math and figure out what day it is.
Yeah. On the Friday.
But that's when it'll be next year, and you can join us. We can all have fun together.
Yeah. So just ask. I'm a pretty forgiving person, and I listen to people's stories, but I've been fed so many spoonsful of bullshit excuses why people can't go to Blade Show. That's like, I don't have patience for it. I don't have patience anymore.
I didn't know. How am I supposed to plan ahead that far?
I only get 3 hours of vacation every 4 years. I can't burn it up. Do I have to go to my grandma's funeral next year for it or whatever? You can go to Blade Show. You won't regret it.
There's 52 weekends a year. We only need you to take one for yourself and come to Blade Show.
If you can set aside plane ticket, food, lodging, $1,000, depending on where you live and you're flying to, like plane flight, food, and lodging at an Airbnb shared is about $1,000, I would say. My ticket's expensive from Oregon.
So that's about 5 Spydercos, guys.
Yeah. And if you really are that tight of money, you can go pay for your whole trip just buying and flipping knives. It's not even that hard. It's not hard at all, actually. It's pretty simple. So it's not, yes, it's money, but it's financially the best investment in the knife hobby you can make.
Hey, Tom.
Yeah.
If you save $3 a day until next year, you'll have enough to pay for Blade Show. So maybe buy one less Bang energy drink a day, and you can
Yeah.
go to Blade Show. Skip a Starbucks coffee every other day, and you can go to Blade Show.
Yeah.
Like, that's how affordable it is.
Or if you live in Georgia, you have zero excuses not to drive there.
If you skip the extra meat on your Chipotle burrito bowl, that will save you $7.50. You only have to do that every 2 days, and you can go to Blade Show.
So yeah, we're going to continue to harass people. Stephen Rockefeller and me have a beef we need to settle, though, about backpacks, because he's saying people that wear backpacks are shady because all the pictures he saw with a bunch of weirdos walking around backpacks. This was like my time to shine because I spent one entire year shopping for the perfect backpack for this event, and it worked out.
No, I think it's because you're addicted to buying backpacks.
I stopped, though, but I'm addicted to buying backpacks, but I had to pick out the right one, and it was great. It was the right size. Only problem I had with the backpack I brought is it had too many pockets, so I would put things in a pocket and forget which one it was, and then have a mini panic attack trying to go, oh, I put that in the pouch that was inside the pouch that was inside the zipper on the back hidden zipper. Yes. When I got home, I had to dump, just literally unzip everything and dump out. It took me a while to find my coin. I thought I left my coin at the Airbnb.
Oh.
Number 69 and everything. Found it. It's safe. It's safe. Whew. But I get very worried when I pack. So I was like, I don't know if I saw my coin on the dresser when I was getting packed this morning. So I'm like doing this in the airplane in the middle seat, trying to rifle through my freaking bag, and like, I'm sure the people next to me thought, what is this lunatic doing? He's going to find a piece of gold in there. Oh, it's a weird coin. Okay. I found it, though. Made it home. I had pretty miserable flights. My back and my body, I'm not tall, so I can't complain about, oh, it's so cramped like it is for Jason on a plane. But I can't complain when the person that's sitting next to me is Jason's height plus another half a Jason wide in the middle seat. And I was sitting like this up against the window on the whole ride in. And the ride back, I'm in the middle seat. And I just hurt from walking around. So I just kind of sat in the fetal position like this in pain in those uncomfortable seats in the flight back. But the flight there, I'm not saying anything wrong with the fella, but he took a lot of my space that I didn't have available to sit in it.
We all know what it's like to be squished in an airplane, unfortunately.
Yeah.
It's relatable.
Flying to Oregon. I'm in rough shape. I'm gonna have to get a massage this week, I think. That's my birthday present to myself.
Well, Tom, I'm wiped out, and we've been on for an hour. I think we covered most of the highlights of Blade. There was a lot of guys. If you want the deets on every little thing, I would tell you to go to Blade Show on Instagram. They have for the next several days, they'll be posting all the winners of the awards, and they'll be posting highlights of what happened. It's a good place to find stuff. You can also follow River's Edge Cutlery, and we've got YouTube content. We've got Instagram content. Riley and Evan were running around with the camera system, taking pictures. Oh, and Noah shooting video, and they had a really funny reel, Tom, where Riley stood in the middle of the hallway with a sign. He took a piece of cardboard and a Sharpie and wrote, "We'll trade a knife for a Chick-fil-A sandwich." Did you see that one?
I saw it only because someone told me about how weird it was that someone was doing it. Right. And then I saw the video later. Oh, it's Riley. That is.
I actually had another plan for those free knives. We were going to give them away daily with people were going to enter a Google form with their email address so we could have more emails captured. And that would allow us to send out newsletters to more people. The problem is the form didn't work. So the fellas improvised and they came up with that for a free giveaway. And it was hilarious. I thought it was awesome.
It was great. It was a great show, Jason. We can wrap it up. I'm tired. You're tired.
It was a great time. I can't wait to do it next year.
Welp, let's better head on out.
Welp. Let's see what else. Yeah, Scorpions Wednesday, noon. It's the first 10V Para 3 that's ever been released.
It's just the DLC. And there is no date on the satin because you can bug anyone you want. They won't give you a real date.
They still haven't been packed and shipped from Spyderco, so we can't drop them until we have them.
Yep.
Well, thanks for watching, everybody. Hope you have a nice evening. By next week, I should have my camera working on my laptop, and then I won't have to hold it in my hand like this, and my head won't be as big. But until then, I'm Jason. That's Tom. Thanks for watching. Talk to you guys later.